Patti Smith. What a great day. I'm sat there on stage at the Sheffield Library Museum. The room is packed and hushed. The atmosphere is charged with emotion. I'm interviewing Patti Smith, who's in full flow. No subject is off limit. No emotion left untouched. You can feel the humanity, and the air is charged with a sticky passion. At one moment she wells up. The next she is hilarious. The next she speaks with a powerful wisdom that so few of her male counterparts have managed in a similar time span. I sit there and realise I'm talking to the very core, the very epicentre of where rock and roll, poetry, emotion and art clashes. It's powerful stuff. The dark magic that is the heart of what makes rock and roll so great. This is the very place. And she is so damn modest with it. Patti goes off at great tangents and is of course eloquent, but also charming, modest, and never shirks from the difficult material, and tells it all with great grace and humour. These conversations are fascinating to do. Sat on stage speaking to people, it's stark, wide open. 2 chairs, 2 mics, and a room full of people adding to the kinetic energy, the electric of talking. I've done loads of them, from Faust to Kraftwerk and back again. There's no space for fuck-ups. It's the real live edge. The thrilling adrenaline of the stage, of living for the moment. The adrenaline, of course, is added to because Patti arrives 30 seconds before we hit the stage, which can make things awkward normally. But she's so open that talking to her is a dream. I wish she could have gone on for another hour. There's so many great stories to talk through. After all, poet priestess Patti Smith is one of the key figures in rock and roll. She may never have sold millions of records, but her influence is all persuasive. She inspired a legion of women and men to take up the cause in the mid-70s, and her fingerprints are all over punk rock, post-punk, and onward to the present. When I wrote my punk rock oral history book 5 years ago, her name was dropped as a key influence by an unlikely roll call of people, from the Slits to Echo and the Bunnymen, from the Smiths to PJ Harvey to Nick Cave, and anyone else who's fired by her free spirit and the truth that lies at the heart of rock and roll. She has lived several lives at once. There's so much crammed in there, from tragedy to triumph, and it's all her poetry that seems to pour out of her. She embodies all that was great about the 60s, all the idealism and the hope and the dream, tempered by an urban reality, from a home of New Jersey, a no bullshit ethic that edits the dippiness that threatened to taint that era. She was a link between that period and the edginess of punk, the fulcrum, the point when one generation tipped into another. She led the charge, waking rock from its mid-70s slumber, opening doors and inspiring with her no-holds-barred artfulness, just like her heroes, Arthur Rimbaud, Bob Dylan, had done before. When she sings a couple of songs after the interview, her beautiful voice that crackles with emotion and such hope is as intact now as when we first heard it 35 years ago. Exuding a warmth and humanity rare in these hard-sell days, she's a great raconteur, with her New Jersey accent telling great stories of Allen Ginsberg, Robert Mapplethorpe, Jimi Hendrix, the Chelsea Hotel, Andy Warhol, her New Jersey upbringing, rock and roll, family, lovers, art and poetry, an amazing shared life that she recounts without embellishment. She looks fantastic, with that strange, delicious beauty still intact. She has seen the dark side and survived the heartache of the deaths of the 2 key lovers in her life, Mapplethorpe and her husband, the late Fred Sonic Smith, and the pain is never far away. We talk about her just-released Just Kids book, a love story, a romantic tale of 2 penniless artists running around the bohemian New York of the mid-70s. It tells the tale of her and Robert Mapplethorpe, her first real love. It's a story of a skint, thrilling existence of 2 artists on the run. A cut-and-paste Bonnie and Clyde creating and letting it all pour out. He speaks of Mapplethorpe, the brilliant photographer, It gives you a real insight into his boyish charm and daredevil talent, walking on the wild side to pursuit of aesthetic freedom of art with a humility and a touching humaneness. At the event, Patti tells a great story of when Mapplethorpe's mother came to his opening, and before she got there he took down all his homoerotic shots because he didn't want to offend her. The book and the In Conversation, by extension, are a moving tale of people who live by raw emotion and talent, and threw everything to the wind to create great art. Patti with her poetry-fused rock and roll, and Robert with his brilliant images. The book itself is one of the great rock and roll reads. You can feel the breathless excitement of mid-70s New York. You can run with their youthful idealism and smile at the naivety and beauty of living for art before you are hit by the heartbreak of when Mapplethorpe succumbs to AIDS at the end of the book. The interview covers all this ground and the room is going with it. Later on, people tell me they were crying. Not upset, but crying with a sheer emotion, and that's just from Patti's talking. The way she doesn't hide behind smoke and mirrors and deals in pure raw emotion. A free spirit in a world of corporate gloss. And that's the key. Patti is a free spirit. A rarity in these cynical times. And that's why people celebrate her. Later on, she plays a concert in the hall next door. And it is spellbinding. She reads from the book and plays stripped-down acoustic versions of the songs with a pure, amazing voice. The gig is mesmerising, spellbinding and powerful. 90 minutes of classic songs, free-form improvisation, readings, and again, that raw emotion. It makes you realise what rock and roll can really be, and why it's so damn special, and why it holds a place in our hearts. That glimmer of fascination, that moments when the connection is made, and people are visibly moved. That's powerful stuff. Really powerful stuff.